Jesus has died for, it just take one witch of 8 years old to be among your congregation. Not much. 8 years old. She will manifest with your life. Are you aware that the level you are like this is as a result of what you have seen all your life? When we speak about Lamborghini and Ferrari, some of you already frown like, Toyota Celica, he told me. Do you know your sight and your sound affect your dream? Eternal. Let me drown in you, Jesus. I chance them open. I chance them open. Are you ready? Can you take a look of fire? Lift up your twins. Just believe. I don't know those things that nobody has ever experienced in your house. Just believe. Lift up your twins. That dimension of wealth, dimension of power. Just believe. Some covenant that God would make with you, and it can never manifest until you leave Egypt, number one. Then Egypt leaves you. Until you leave Egypt, then Egypt leaves you. So it's often easier to think about leaving Egypt. Very easy. Everybody can leave Egypt if Egypt agree, So the funniest thing is, God carried the capacity to bend Egypt to leave you. But God does not have the capacity to bend you to leave Egypt. Because if God carries the capacity to bend you to leave Egypt, then he will go against his word. The heavens and the whole of the heavens belong to God. The earth has he given to sons of men. So God bending Egypt to leave you is God against gods. God against gods. But God bending you to leave Egypt will now be God against his creation. Are you aware that Moses was anointed to deal with Egypt? He was anointed. That's why he too was trained as a god. How many of you are aware of that? Moses himself was in the house of Pharaoh, and every prince in the house of Pharaoh, they were trained as a god. Even Ramesses, they were trained as a god. So at some point, even the Israelites, the Egyptian rather, they would have to worship them, because they were trained as a god. So they never knew that this guy is going to change side. And after training him, spending a lot of time investing in this guy, and someday the guy, you know the story. Then he came back, Exodus 3, Exodus 4 was speaking about when God empowered Moses and told him, you are going to be living. You're going to be leading these people out. And he said, I'm not even qualified. And God told him, I've prepared for you your brother as an interpreter. So God showed himself mightily through Moses, and they were able to leave Egypt. But if you read it very well, you realize that God actually was the master planner of everything. And the Bible says God hardened the heart of Pharaoh because he wanted the plagues to complete 10. He wanted the plagues to complete 10. So he hardened the heart of Pharaoh. And when it was 10, he took the Israelites out. So the king said, now you can go. But while they left, as a matter of fact, do you know that they're still left with some part of the Egyptian gold and silver and their properties, some of them? Yeah, God gave to them. If you understand this very well, there's no how you're going to stay somewhere for 430 years. The place place is not just going to be a location anymore to you. You will be the location. So it's easier to leave a location. But if you have stayed there for that long, you are now the location. So they have stayed there for that long. But, you know, when God will look at them, he will still see Egypt in them. And the promise was not for the Egypt, was for the Israelites. This is why I say there are some promises that God will make to you. You can never see it manifest as long as Egypt is still in you. Because the promise was made for the Israelites. I know you went home. So they stayed there. Sorry, Egypt stayed in them. They left Egypt. Egypt stayed in them. Do you know they left with mixed multitude? Mixed multitude. And I bet you some of those mixed multitude would even be the Egyptians. And they left with them. Then they became problem to Moses. Problem to Moses. Why? They left Egypt, but Egypt never left them. Egypt was inside of them. And this was why, are you aware that, oh my God, let me show you something you've never looked at in the Bible. Are you aware that Moses killed more Israelites than Egyptians? You didn't know? So Moses had to kill the Egyptians. He killed just the firstborns, right? And one or two like that, plus the one he killed. But when the Bible was speaking about the Israelites Moses killed, the Bible was talking about a generation. A whole generation did not enter the promised land. Who killed them? Deuteronomy 1:35, Psalm 95, 6-7, Hebrews 3. You see there. A generation died. Why? Because God was using his filtration method to filter Egypt out of them. So they left Egypt, but Egypt never left them. So they left to Egypt with Egypt. You must understand that at this point, they would even understand the language of Egypt. Are you getting it? They would even understand the language of Egypt. Okay. Some of us have been in some places. I was born and raised a little in Calabar. I understand Efik. I spent some little time in Warri, Urobo Isoko. To some extent, I understand. Imagine somebody that has spent 430 years. So at that point in time, their tradition would even be the tradition of these people. This was why the moment they searched for Moses and they didn't see him for that 40 days, they had to tell Aaron to bring the God that took them out of Egypt. And Aaron had to produce something that looks like what he has been seeing in Egypt. Because they were used to that. Do you know the dysfunction that follow Egypt following you? If you carried Egypt with you, Egypt will come to look for what belongs to him. So they carried the gold of Egypt and they went into the wilderness. What did they use the gold to do? They used it to make a calf that looks like what they've been seeing in Egypt. They used it to make a bull that looks like what they have been looking at in Egypt, what they were accustomed to, and they began to worship this bull. And they said, this took us out of Egypt. This took us out of Egypt. And the Bible says God got angry and he said, these people are stiff-necked. A journey that was supposed to be for a few days became 40 years because that was God's filtration method. He wanted to filter Egypt from them. He wanted to make sure that there's no iota of Egypt in them. You remember when they sent some spies And they sent them to somewhere and they said, go and look at this place. And they got there. You know what they said? They came with a report and they said, we were like grasshopper before them. And that was how they were. They were like giants in our eyes. And in their eyes also, not only in their own eyes now, in their own eyes also, we were like grasshoppers. Do you know why? Because they were accustomed to slavery in Egypt. So when they went to this place, it was like a slave coming to fight the master. And they said their toe were 6. They really spied well. He said their toe were 6, their fingers were 6. We were like grasshopper before them. But if you check the report of Joshua and Caleb, Joshua and Caleb said we can take these guys. If you check them, God began to filter Egypt out of Israel little by little. That was why Joshua had the capacity to enter the promised land, because there was no iota of Egypt inside of Joshua. Joshua said, if the Lord be with us, we can take these guys. Why would Moses not even enter the promised land? It is nearly impossible to take Egypt out of the prince of Egypt, because he lived as a prince inside of Egypt. So he had to see the level. Oh my God. So if the Bible is saying there was no generation that entered, no, Aaron died, everybody died. Moses saw before they entered. Moses saw from afar. That means it was Moses alone in that generation that was remaining. To the extent where God had to remind him to go and die. God said, Moses, I'm taking you to so land. Go there and die. So everybody died in his eyes, because God was filtering Egypt out of the Israel. Now I've taken you out of the location, but you ended up taking the location with you. That's why I said to you, if Egypt is inside of you, yet God has taken you out of Egypt, his promises cannot come to pass until Egypt die. This is why people go through delay, because he's there, he's waiting. He's waiting till Egypt die. He's waiting. Abraham, this is a land I'm going to show you. This is that. Is it coincidence that when Lot left Abraham, God visited Abraham? He said, get thee out of thy father's house and out of thy kindred. Lot belonged to the father's house, and Lot also belongs to the kindred. And he took him. Leave your father's house and your kindred. He took the kindred and the father's house. He took slaves. He took slaves. He took reinforcement. That's why, do you know why people like us, we can't really make mouth? Because when he brought us, there was no help from father and mother. He had to first of all separate them from us. And at that point, you feel as if there's no help. I don't know how many of you are in that level now. At that point, when father cannot help, mother cannot help, God is trying to remove Egypt from you. You have left Egypt, fine. It's easier to leave Egypt. Do you know it's easier to leave noise? A noisy environment. Very easy to leave a noisy environment. But the hardest is the noisy environment to leave you, because it will stay in your head. How many of you have tried to pray and keep a quiet moment, and all of a sudden, there in your head, the noise continues? So the hardest often would be to separate you from the noise, because separating the noise from you is simple. So Lot and Abraham came and said, well, now your men, they are as mighty as mine. You have goods like mine. Now it's expedient that your people and my people, they go separate ways. And the Bible says Lot picked the part that was green, and Abraham picked. Oh my God, when God encountered Abraham, something interesting happened there. So God said to Abraham, God said, Abraham, leave your tent. Took him out of the tent. Do you know why? Because if God were to give him the assignment from the tent, he would not see far. That tent also is like an impediment of your father's house. This is where I was telling you to come out from. So he said, leave your tent. Now look to the north, the west, the south, the east, as far as your eyes can see. From that day, if Abraham were to pray about his child, he would see the stars. Say, count the stars. How do you see the star in the net, in the tent? This is why it seemed as if God delayed, because this same mentality must not enter Israel. This mentality, imagine if they entered Israel, that generation, they would, oh my God, they would have built that golden calf in Israel. They would have built it in Canaan, where milk and honey is flowing. Do you know, I was making research. Why is it that God refused them to make allegiance with anybody? Because at that point they still had the slave mentality. Because everybody there, they were born into slavery. So the Bible will say Aaron and the elders. And Aaron was born into slavery. The elders were born into slavery. This was why Moses had to go to the other side. And God raised him from there. So every interaction they were doing it inside of slavery. So God said, no, don't deal with anybody. Instead, fight them. When you get to them, fight them. Because I wouldn't want you to live there as a slave and continue here also as a slave. Why are you delayed? He's waiting until Egypt leaves you. My mother told me a story about a slave girl. And my mother said, you know, she used to use it to correct us there. And she said something. She said, a slave girl was taken by the master to somewhere. And the slave girl told the master, say, when we get there, don't tell them that I'm a slave. And the master said, yes, I'm never going to say it that you are a slave. I'm going to tell them that you are my daughter. And she got there. The moment she got there, while they were going, rain was falling. And the rain beat her clothes. I don't know where these old people get these parables from. The rain beat her clothes. Then she got there, she saw where they were doing fire, where dignitaries were, and they were doing fire. So she offed her clothes, put stick on the fire, and sun it so that the fire will be roasting the clothes. And the people passed there and say, who dry clothes here like a slave? And the master said, did I say it? Your character brought you out. This is why God will not take you into the promised land with this mentality of a slave. Because he knows somebody is going to be somewhere and say, oh Lord, you bless this slave of all slaves. There's not much he can do with you if you keep the Egypt mentality. Are you here? You went home. So the same anointing that was supposed to kill the Israelites, the Egyptian, began to kill the Israelites even more, because the anointing could hardly separate them from the people that they were before. Kill them till the generation finished. It was just the firstborn, but a whole generation was wiped off. Do you know why your mother can receive a prophecy, yet it will manifest on you and it will not manifest on her? And you can be here, and like another day, today again, you might receive a prophecy, and it will never manifest in your life. It will manifest in the life of your children, because you are still in Egypt. You are still in Egypt. Why does prophecy not come to pass? There's an iota of Egypt in you, so it can't come to pass in Egypt. Do you know that Rachel was taken out of idol worshiping, and Rachel took the family idol with her? She was taken out of idol worshiping, and she took the family idol with her. Oh, now everything has looked like parable. Let me bring it down to what you understand. How many of you have seen yourself now? You are living in what you criticized. Now you are married. Inside your marriage, you are quarreling, and this was why you even left Egypt, your father's house, because your father would keep quarrel with your mother for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and call elders. Oh, irritating. I've seen families like that. All of a sudden, you see your in-laws, they are coming inside, they are sitting down, and the day they settle the fight, they will not go, they will still eat. They'll stay, they'll eat, stick around. Sometimes the fights they are supposed to settle, they'll still cause more havoc. So my father-in-law called me. He used to say it every time, and he said, "You have never ever given me cause to see. I have never reported my wife. Hey, talk to your daughter. Talk to your daughter. I have never. Now you are from that kind of house, and now you are married for 3 years, and for that 3 years, every year they must have a meeting where they talk about your marriage. They are so good in that meeting because their own parent too had a meeting on their own head. So now you have left that house, which is Egypt, and you have come to Israel. You still carry Egypt with you. Some people will leave a relationship and enter into another relationship with the former relationship. As a matter of fact, all the memory they have about the former relationship is even better than this relationship in their head. You are bringing Egypt, and you are thinking you will go to Israel with this person. Yet you are bringing Egypt into yourself. You have left Egypt. My wife was telling me something, where she was talking to one of her daughters here, and then my daughter said, my last relationship did well. Say, why didn't you not marry him? Are you the judge? If he did well, you put a ring on it. Who says so? I don't know why this one has a problem, but my last relationship did well, and this one is trying to put a ring on it. So in your eyes, that one did well because you have been over familiar with this one. So this one now is useless in your eyes because you left that Egypt, but the Egypt is still inside of you. That's why you compare one with one. You compare one with another. If the one you are comparing was so good, then why are you here? Why are you here? Most of the times, the reason why people would never walk into their promise is not the devil, it's because they fail to leave the past. See what happened to the wife of Lot. Just by looking back, she became a salt, static. She remained there. This destruction was for Sodom, but you ended up being part of it because you were looking back. How about business? How about business? You are good in blaming God. Some of you, the same mentality you used to sell food is the same you used to sell clothes. It's the same you used to sell building. Properties. It's the same. The mind is not renewed. The Bible says, renew your mind. You are putting a new wine in an old wine skin. It will burst. Renew your mind. Renew your mind. So we say, read books about this, your new business. Read books. Make research. Let your mind be renewed. I've seen people that trade forex like they are doing business. Life. They trade forex like they are doing business. They go to the highest lot size that their money can carry. Then they come and they say, this forex dangerous. Why would it not be dangerous? You are reckless. You have left Egypt. Egypt is still in you. You can't get to the promised land. This is why you face that delay. Because until Egypt leave you, no Canaan. You are reckless. When you see people that gamble with those accounts, they'll have like 5. There's one of my son here. If he burn one, he will do another one. He can just hear that there's news. He'll take it to the highest lot size. He'll flip the account. Don't be a fool to follow him. He has all that he can fund. You now have just $500. Then he take his lot size and he's using 5. Then you say, Then before we say amen, hallelujah, you see smoke coming out from your phone. It's gone. The market used to happen so fast that you can't shout. So fast. Do you know why? Because when you were doing business live, you would use everything you have, invest it in the business at once. Another law governs trading. Another law again governs crypto. You do double or nothing, like you are doing Baba Ijebu. You do double or nothing. Then by the time the thing deal with you, then you say, God, is there really God? And the question God is looking like this. I am here. I'm just waiting for Egypt to leave you. I'm just waiting for Egypt to leave you. Renewal of mind. Renew your mind. When I meet people that come to me and they say, sir, God said I should mentor me into ministry. I know, fine, good. What can we do? It's God too that will do it. Then I say this, they say no. I told you a story. A boy that the father died and left the church for him. Very dangerous. You see, we that God even call doing our own thing, and God call us, we still feel like running away. At least once a month, I'm telling you the truth. At least once a month, as a pastor. That's why I wasn't even expecting all my pastors in training to become pastor. Some of them will still run. Because when you are seeing it now, all you are seeing is Gucci and Versace. But when you begin to pray 40 days for people that don't even know that you are praying for them, and they will drive past you, and inside your fasting, they will still drive past you and without greeting you, and you prayed for them overnight, then you think about it. They say, I'd rather do my job than do this useless work. That's how you get to begin to battle depression. Jekaye leti ikpawa mo Olúwa ọba iye. That's how the boy came to me and he said, "Sir, I'm led to be your son. Mentor me." I was telling him about fasting. I was telling him about prayer. I was telling him how Kosogun Tonje Afadura Taiwe. The guy said, but I need to tell you something, sir. I said, what? He said, you know, the new creation reality Christian, I now saw why he was failing before and came to meet me. He said the new creation reality system Jesus has died for. It just take one witch of 8 years old to be among your congregation. Not much. 8 years old. She will manifest with your life. If you get to the shrine, they have a bigger Bible. If you get to the occultic house, they have a bigger Bible. When the devil came to meet Jesus, what did he quote? Bible. Bible. The devil will break it down, turn it. Imagine quoting the word for the word. You want to lead a congregation, you don't want to pray. Have they ever made you choir head? Just choir head. Recently, I dropped a voice note of, I think, close to 20 minutes or thereabout on workers group, actually. And some of you will listen to that voice note and you see that it's a step to enter depression. But God still keep holding us. And you are saying there's no need for fasting, there's no need for prayer. That means God is taking him to Canaan, but he does not want to leave Egypt. As I speak to you, the church is somewhere around this place. The church is still the same way. Not more than this row. And after service, you visit this, visit that, visit this. I told him, I said, I don't even do that. I don't even call you. Why were you not in church? I was teaching you something before we came inside the church. And I say, it's Jesus that built the church. If I see 200 people, I'll preach like 10,000 people. It's not my business. The time I'll use to come and visit you in your house, I'll use it to pray. Let God bring replacements. You were not serious at the first place. At the height, they talk. I use it to pray until the day that maybe there's a problem. You now call me emergency. I'll not ask him for you. You will now know that I have the attendance on my. You still go and visit them. Why were you not in church? Oh, sister, take yam. I will take you to my house and fry it. I would rather invest in prayer and fasting and use it to break. How many members have collected yam? You will not see them. And the day they need yam again, they come. People will be joining first time. I said it in this church. I said that coke you are giving to first timer, they used to buy it and keep in the office. I said, give me everything. They come, they sit down, they hear the message. They end up going, collecting our coke. And me, I preach the message. No coke. I deserve the coke more than every first timer. You're a first timer here? Jekaye leti ipawa mo Olúwa ọba iye. Sometimes you must discern. Where is God taking you out from? And you must take that place out of you. When God take you out of that place, take the place out of you. If not, no promise. So God has promised you wealth. God has promised you blessing. Generational blessing. But when you are thinking as a generational failure. You can't see it. The blessing will linger there with you, but you can't see it. But the day one of your child now take Egypt out of him, Now look, I'm praying small, blessings are coming. I'm praying small, breakthroughs are coming. That you see plenty of you here that you feel is by your strength. Some of you is your grandmother. The prayer, the investments they've done, but they linger in the wilderness and they refuse to take Egypt out of them. They are there saying, well, if God, you don't want to bless me, and the boy just come and the boy say, as for me and my house, we are blessed. And God say, I've been looking for this guy. This guy. And that one come, and that one say, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in good health. This is a covenant with me. And God is saying, I don't have covenant with you. And God traced the family line. And God said, oh, I have covenant with this person, but this person refused to take Egypt out of him. But because you are in the same line, then you pray small prayer, you see big results. It is your mother, it is your father. There's some character that should keep you in poverty. If you don't change those character, you are not going to leave poverty. Some of you may say, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go to club, and I don't do all that. But you know the character that keeps you in poverty. You will receive the highest level of prophecy, even from a bigger prophet than the one you know. Me. Nothing. Why? Because Egypt is inside of you. The idol of Egypt is inside of you. Tell somebody, say, leave Egypt and let Egypt leave you. Tell someone else, say, leave Egypt and let Egypt leave you. Tell someone else again, say, leave Egypt and let Egypt leave you. Do you know a lot of us here, we are like Peter. I was studying in the Bible. You know, after Jesus died, the last book of John, second to the last and last, I love that. I love John, personally, I love John. The revelations are deep. Peter said, I go fishing. And the rest of the apostles say, we go with thee. Did Peter force them? Did Peter carry them? Remember, this is the same Peter that Jesus said, you are the rock that I will build my church. The gate of hell will not prevail. The same Peter that Jesus said, I will make you fishers of men. The guy demoted himself the moment Jesus died. He went and started fishing. And because he was the rock, the rest followed him. That's why if you notice, Jesus never cautioned the rest. The rest sat down with Jesus. And Jesus faced only Peter, because he knows what I've invested inside of you. If you do not allow this Egypt to leave you, you will never reach there. And he said, Peter, lovest thou me more than this? Another thing, if you do not allow this Egypt to leave you, Peter, the rest of the people, their destiny rely on you. Because now I'm going. Say, lovest thou me more than this? Do you know why Peter was offended? Peter would say in his heart, I am not the only one that went to fish. I am not the only one that went to fish. Every one of us, I did not force them. Or John, did I force you? John will say, no, sir. Matthew, did I force you? Say, no, sir. But he met Peter and said, lovest thou me more than this? He didn't say all of you, lovest thou me more than this? He said, Peter, lovest thou me more than this? Feed my sheep, feed my flock. And the third time he said, you know I love you. He took Peter out of fishing, but he didn't have the capacity to take fish out of Peter. That's why when there was trouble, the first thing Peter would remember is fish. You remember he packed his boat somewhere and followed the master. That's why sometimes it's expedient that you burn your boat so that you never go back. Sometimes Egypt can be pride. Just pride. Just pride. And we have seen it in our house. We have seen our father dangerously proud. Not apologizing even when he's wrong. Fine. That is what we do in Africa. But now we are married and we carry the same pride. Now we have money, we carry the same pride. Do you know who I am? A proud man will introduce himself. do by any means, do you know who I am? A daughter of a woman that will get angry, break TV, break chair, burn the parlor, and you are not happy with her character. Now you are in a relationship and you are kneeling down. Pastor, pray for me. And I say, why should I pray for you? I don't know why. All the men that come to me, they are scum. Men are scum. Men are scum. Okay, fine. After the prayer, the same thing. After the prayer, the same thing. The reason why the results can never be different is because this one also is busy burning TV, breaking phone. Some people can be angry and smash phone. Where does that come from? After that, your anger, you will buy because you need phone. Some will smash and bring a new phone and apologize. Stupidity has so skirt and blouse for you. They'll smash it, then they'll buy it. Some will smash it, they don't even have money to buy it. They smash it. If you know me, if you know me, you see some women will tear the clothes. Go and check, their mother used to tear clothes. They tear them, and you do like that. They've left Egypt. How can the promises of God, how can the breakthrough, how can all the blessings that was said on your marriage ground, how can they manifest when you are busy tearing clothes? Why some family, they left their, you know, the Bible says, now the man will leave his father's house and cleave to the wife, right? There's some family, they don't leave their father's house. They will live there, but they will carry there with them. So by the time you are talking, a man, or say, but my mommy say, but my mommy say, but my daddy say, small problem with the wife, the mom is calling. Hello? You have started again. You are, oh my God. There's this, there's one of my son here. So he had a problem with the wife. So they called me. I rushed down there. I was still trying to settle. The mother came inside. The mother did not ask any question. She went straight to the son. Her own son was beating the son. So I was holding the mother. You know how women feel. Women feel that when they are beating a man, you need to enter because you are a man. Of all things, don't allow a woman to hold a gun and shoot you, because she can be shooting you thinking that it's not paining you. So she was beating the son. So I was holding her, I was begging her, mommy, we have settled this. And I said, you are the pastor. And the son said, mommy, slap the son again, began to bite the son. Typical Yoruba, that's what every of our mother would do to us. Excuse me. Let me show you something. Do you know some irresponsible mother will come and begin to fight the wife? Because if you train your son well, you will not even come here at the first place. So the training the son did not get, let me give it to the son here. That's what a good mother would do. And from that day, I respected her. She may not like the woman, but it's my son I have business with. It's my son I have business with. This must have been Egypt. My son had left. My son is the hope. But now in my son's house, he still carry Egypt with him. It's my son I need to deal with. Some mothers will come. He's a woman. You want to ruin my son's life. Then they tie wrapper. Then the son begin to hold the mother from beating the daughter-in-law. That's a man that didn't leave the father's house, or that the father's house never left. If you are living in Egypt, ensure that Egypt leaves you. Ensure that Egypt leaves you. Don't live and look back. Don't live and think, how am I going to survive with Egypt? Sometimes the things you were eating in Egypt, you will not see it in the wilderness. Still face forward. Because where God is taking you to, what is there is not even in Egypt. Still face forward. Sometimes the shape that you left in Egypt, you may not get it in the wilderness, but keep going. Keep going. Oh my God, sometimes God can even lead you to somebody. I've seen plenty of ladies that would end up snapping their food. Their food always tastes horrible. Horrible. I remember one time we were fasting and somebody made Zobo for us. Remember? And we asked, Zobo too? Many years ago, like 7 or 8 years ago now. More than. Say, Zobo too? The Zobo was not sweet. I say, cooking is my hobby. When you see a lady that say, cooking is my hobby. Cooking is my hobby. just put it there. It's sweet. Eat it. Because the real cook, they don't talk. They just keep quiet. We are the real cook. If I cook for you, you die. May you not eat my food. Even me, I cannot eat my food, not you. But we don't talk. We just calm down, Abby. Sometimes you see that Canaan you are going, God will lead you, remove Egypt from you and give you this other one. And this one cannot cook. This one cannot cook. This one we need to learn. You must carry this one. Don't say, while I was in Egypt. Are you getting my parable? While I was in Egypt, I was eating good food. While I was in Egypt, some people will say, while I was in Egypt, there's this shape. I used to see, there's this shape. So you must go back to that shape if you must follow me. Body shaming. There's no brother that will come to you that don't know that you are going to be fat or not. And there's no sister that will come to you that don't know if you're going to be fat or not. As a matter of fact, by the time you get to the point where you want to pick a wife, all your physique in the next 20 years is visible already. One of my sons brought his wife yesterday, day before yesterday, so yesterday was for me. And I reminded the wife that this my son has bowed head though. Don't come tomorrow and tell me why is the head going back. You should know now that look at my hairline, look at his own hairline. You should know that this one is a prophecy. In the next 20 years, maybe the hair will remain under the ear. You see the lady with stretch mark. Then after she had given birth, then you tell her, it's size 10 I want. It's size 10 I want. You say, are you not seeing Pastor Ellie's wife? Size 10. You see the problem? You see a problem? I'll show you a problem. Do you know that possibly she eats more than every size? Some of you are size to be continued. She eats more than some of you size to be continued. At least I know myself. And I know she eats more than me. I know me so. We are together now. She eats more than me. So how God did it, you don't tell the lady and say, why are you not seeing Pastor Ellie's wife? That's what some people do. Look at Pastor Ellie's wife. slim and are you Pastor Eli? Sometimes my wife exercises a lot. Some of you know. That's why she's in shape like this. 3 children and she's still like this. But then, I'll see her. I think I came to the altar to mock her one time when I'll just be coming out of the house and I'll see my wife with all these Chinese people. They'll be I'll pause and look at her like, I know different exercise, but they're not playing one kind of song. How many of you know that exercise? That means you do it also. So the one I looked at her, I thought it was a coincidence. The 2 I looked at her, I thought, well. The 3, so I asked, what's the meaning of this thing you are doing? Then I said, hey. What kind of exercise is this? So sometimes she will slim down and she will tell me, you're not even looking at me. Why? You're not even looking at me. I'll slim down instead of you to be thanking me. And I tell her, I send you. Do you know why? I didn't marry the body. There's a target. And if you're a worker here, you know what she's doing. I didn't marry the body. The body is for her. She can be as big. That's why we bought Tundra. So if worse come to worse, we bring a 3-seater in the house. We put it at the back of the Tundra and she sit down. Then I carry her to church. Simple. But because there are some Egypt outside, then I now tell somebody that I'm in Canaan with that, are you not seeing Egypt? That's why a generation that knew Egypt, they had to die off. If Egypt does not die off, nothing comes alive. Be on your feet. Some of you still used to do the things. One of my sons was asking me a question. Say, oh, why this, why that, why this, why that? And I reminded him and I said, everything you were doing in Egypt, you are still doing it. You are still doing it, and you are saying, why has the promise not come to pass? Because Egypt has to die. As I'm saying Egypt, everybody here, you know the Egypt in your life. Egypt has to die. Egypt has to die. Tell somebody, say, there's a journey ahead of me. There's a beautiful land ahead of me.
There's a beautiful land ahead of me.
There's my target ahead of me.
There's my target ahead of me.
But Egypt must die.
But Egypt must die.
How many of you understand this message? Put your hands together for Jesus. Can you lift up your right hand? Lift up your right hand. Lift up your right hand. And begin to tell God, every iota of Egypt inside of me, every Egypt still remaining in my life, oh Lord, take it out. Help me. Help me. So that you do not receive a prophecy and it's your children that go and manifest it. So that you do not receive a prophecy and your children go to manifest it. You must enjoy the fruit of your labor. Begin to pray. Begin to pray. Keep praying. Keep praying. Keep praying. Tell God, Egypt has to die in me. Egypt has to die. Now I know the cause of my delay is Egypt. But let Egypt die. Let Egypt be no more. Let Egypt never be found in me. Those of you online, open your mouth also and pray. Those of you online, open your mouth also and pray. Let Egypt die in me. Let Egypt die in me. I am out of Egypt, but it's not about the location. The Egypt I carried inside of me, let it die. Let it die, let it die. Let it die. That the promised land may be visible. You are not there yet. No matter what you have now, you are not there yet. Let Egypt die. Help me. Let Egypt die. If you don't help me, wherever